What I'm going to post is the templates as I currently have them. If you want them, go ahead and expand them out, take a screenshot, go ahead and keep them. The second one especially is going to be flexible. Here they are. Help yourself. This is the first one. I explain it later in the video. The second one here, we've got same thing. I'll go into detail on these in the video, but if you already know what's going on and you just want to grab these lists, go for it. Let's get into the video. I want to keep this video short, and it's just about the template. There was a message that I got from, or a question I got from somebody that I want to address. It was kind of confusing. Can you explain the template in this daily Bible passage so I could begin or try to begin to see the template? And it's Ezekiel 18, 1 through 19. And I'm not sure in the 14. I think you said you were struggling, having typos or something in another message. But I'm going to interpret this next line as, but doesn't need to explain all but just a passage or two. I believe that's what you're saying. This is a one-year Bible by Tyndale, one-year International Version. Okay, what it sounds to me, what does it say? Daily Bible passage. So, okay, what I'm assuming here, then I have to, what I'm thinking is going on is that you've got something there that's saying, here, take a look at this Bible passage. Here's what pops up next. Go ahead and study that. And then you look at that and go, okay, how does that fit on the template? When in all actuality, the template starts all the way at the beginning of Ezekiel in chapter 1, and it works up to here. So you're jumping right into it and trying to look at where it is. I'm not sure where it is, but I think it might be hard to see it that way. And I'm not familiar enough with Ezekiel that deep into it, and I don't want to go look at it right now because of the amount of work I have to do elsewhere. I still need a lot of help there. It's so big, I just can't get to it all. And you know what? To be sure, there's material you can do that with. You can jump right into short verse stuff and read a passage and go, boom, here's what it says. This big stuff right here, they might have an entire chapter or two that has one step in it. And when you jump into a couple of verses, you're like, man, I can't see the forest for the trees. You have to pull back from it. Is my lesson that pain follows the hoof of the ox that draws the carriage because of a poor thought from the wheel, that it follows like the wheel, telling me that pain is coming around cyclically? Or is it chapters of plagues or something like that you have to look at? And if you jump right in the middle of it and see a plague, you might not know what's going on. You have to step back and see that there's repeated plagues to go, okay, this is the cycle of pain here. Here they had a wheel. Here they have a massive amount of stuff. This is going to be in that massive amount of stuff area. You're going to have a hard time picking out something unless it's right up front where the calling is, where there's cycles. In the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month. See, we have to establish those numbers in Genesis still. I was among the exiles by the river Chebar. The heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. We're connecting with our higher self on the 5th day of the month. It was the 5th year of the exile of the king Jehoiakim. The word of the Lord came to the priest Ezekiel, son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was upon him. So there's a selection process happening right there. Anyway, does that make sense? I can't do that like that. All right, what I want to do is just identify for you what the template is and for everybody else. There's a part of it that sounds like Joseph Campbell's. Let's look at his, and I'm going to talk about why I don't use his and why I'm not going to use his. Here are his steps. There's 17 stages. There's a call to adventure. Now, what he's doing, he's identifying these by looking at stories and seeing by many, many myths and religions and seeing repeated patterns in the stories that somehow in all these stories, there's some sort of a call to adventure. And then a refusal of the call is very common. Then there's a supernatural aid that comes about as part of the story. Yeah, we see that even with Moses on Mount Horeb getting the staff that they're going to use to, there's their magical staff. Crossing the first threshold, he's got belly of the whale, road of trials, meeting with the goddess, temptation, atonement with the Father. That's apotheosis, the ultimate boon, refusal of the return, magic flight, return from without, crossing of the return threshold, master of two worlds, freedom to live. All right, I've already identified what's going on, and I've made it more interactive in the steps, mentally interactive. I've taken all of his analogous verbiage, like meeting with the goddess or atonement with the Father, magic flight, things like that. Those are not mentally interactive, and actually they should be. There is another detail we get out of here. We see the separation, the initiation, and the return in that kind of the inner bisection sort of thing. The separation is really our physical, our conscious. We're ready. We need to think about and figure out what we're going to do before we turn inward. The crossing of the threshold and that whole initiation is in our mind while we're working on the things. And the return is back out re-experiencing the physical world after having gone through and healed those things. So I want to make all of those very well understood, very finely understood. We can interact with them mentally if we know what they are. Furthermore, those 17 steps are very minimal. This 17 steps begins what is very common. It's called a monomyth. It's going to continue to repeat, and it shows up so prevalently that that's what he observed. The monomyth is actually a personal trip that we take when we want to turn inward and begin to heal our life. The monomyth is carrying an adventure in the population that at the same time is carrying a template that I can use to turn inward to heal. Religions are doing the same thing. Now, there's a couple of things that he doesn't have identified in there. First of all, there's creation. How we came about is none of that is identified in the monomyth. The monomyth is just how we go back to heal. There is complete information on there about how we came about, but it's not very common to find it. So that's there. There's a creation myth or a human life myth that goes all the way up to before the monomyth starts. And what has to be included in here that he doesn't have identified in the monomyth is that there's cycles of pain and that we have to, leave a past behind. Struggle to leave a past. There's a number of things in there that he didn't catch. Let's let that go. I'm going to go straight into what I have. We're going to call it mentally interactive. Then we're going to go look at the parts of the stories to see if indeed that's true. Okay, there's 2 pages here. The first template in mentally interactive terms. The sequence here is creation is our birth, and this goes on till we're ready to turn inward. So if we were making a comparison between this and what is in the Bible, that point number 1, born, that is creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That is you right there, our self being born from the background. All the way down to 14, life has become out of sorts. We are frazzled by our development and not knowing how to fit in with our world. We are getting ready to emerge from our physical beginnings. That's the flood right there. So these are the steps in between, and I've tried to keep 1 through 7, pretty much days 1 through 7 in that. It's the first creation myth, and I keep it to day 7. That they chaptered it, between day 6 and day 7. But I include 7 with the first one. That's the first creation myth. I call them the 7-day creation and the 5 rivers creation. The 5 rivers is the original one. The 7 days was added in later. That's the one that with the second calling of Noah with the 7 pairs of animals begins to match up with the network. So number 1, we're born from universal energy. We exist within the framework of natural laws. Number 2, everything within the cosmos is in cycles. That's the planets. All experience is due to cause and effect. There's the plants giving birth to plants from seeds that give plants to birds of the same seeds. We have fixed qualities at birth in our DNA. God named things to begin with. We grow till we're self-aware. We are naming things now. We begin to develop our identity through our experiences and basic skills. I guess that's what we're doing right there. We're naming. We are naming at this point in time and becoming our childhood aware self. So we've gone from being born to being unaware, getting some things established, how it's going to work, and then we move on to our childhood self. And number 7, we begin mental awareness of our experiential life right here. We are happy and not yet attached to any real world experiences. We can see the world. We're not aware of it. You might see something bad happen and you don't even know how to judge it yet. Yeah, maybe somebody would shoot somebody and just look at it with no comprehension, not even knowing what's going on. This is a point in our development where we're that way. This is our place of personal bliss. We want to return to this state in the material. We can't actually get back here. Number 8 is where first sin happens, judged, unchecked. Life experiences begin to be hidden deeply, and we begin to lose our inner joy. 9, our early self emerges, highly mentally attached to physical experiences. This is going to be Adam first man. We're coming out and we're attached to the physical. We're stuck working the earth. Number 10, cyclical pain emerges. This is from Eve. You will have pain through childbirth every time you give birth. This is our inner being. Every time whatever acts out from our judged, unchecked life experiences emerges, we're going to have pain. We're going to act out. We become divided and early self takes charge. Our Cain and Abel. Attachment to the physical is complete. Time goes by and left unchecked, whatever we harbor gets bigger and bigger within us. This is as go forth and prosper, multiply. And then finally we get to a life has become out of sorts. We are frazzled by our own personal development from life and not knowing how to fit in with our world. We are getting ready to emerge from our physical beginnings. Okay, that is a complete from Genesis. And Joseph Campbell didn't identify any of that stuff. So we need to know that this is in the material as well. When we go through, we're going to find pieces that won't fit unless we include this. And we may, this is all I have right now. This is malleable. It's growing. It's like, oh, there's something else in here. What's going on there? We figure it out and add in more pieces. Okay, next then is where the monomyth / personal self-healing cycle comes into place, the sequence. This is a pathway we take. Let's take a look at it. Okay, I want to say that right now, this is what the monomyth should be, but this is not complete still. I know that I'm still finding stuff. The stories from back then were separately traveling by word of mouth. A certain kind of person is selected out by being born a certain way. It's kind of brain type or something it looks like. And in this template, a self-healing sequence is established, popularly called the monomyth, but this is finer resolution and interpreted until it's mentally interactive. Okay, so we've got a selected person. Cause and effect has to be established. Cycles of pain are going to be established. It is time to begin the inward journey to your happy beginnings. You want to go back. That's the destination. We've got a destination in the material. 3, 7, the golden fleece, the far side of the world, the beginning of your life, whatever. Oh, there's a lot of ways of doing it. Canaan, Nirvana, the kingdom of heaven within, the Holy Grail. All of those are holding that same idea where we have a destination, and that is inner mental peace, freedom from what we're carrying. It's time to find that place. We're not going to want to because it's painful. What do you have to face? What hurts you? How fun is that going to be? But we want to, we're going to do it anyway. Needs the awareness of what to do in the mind first. That's the supernatural aid. How do we work that out? There's going to be a struggle to leave the past behind. We have to. This can be quite serious. This might cause you to change relationships, to change your entire living situation. There's going to be a struggle to leave whatever it is that's holding you back. If you're in a tough place and you need to heal, it's going to be tough to leave. But even then, if we're just dealing with habits in the past and things that we have a difficult time dealing with, we're acting out, we've been treated poorly, all of that is going to be a tough thing to deal with. But we've got to leave all that behind. Okay, turn inward to the mind. That's where the problem is. It's in our memories. We're going to use the conscious and the higher self to interact with memories and emotions to begin a process of healing. We're going to face and work with fears till they are no longer fears. In plain language, we must change the way we feel about our memories. We need to share this only with others that are of the same understanding. That's who we're going to work it out with. Other people will scoff, laugh, criticize as you're doing the very things that they have fears against. They will even lash out against you. Life changes may occur which are really big. We cease to fit in the past, and now we need a new place to be. How long before further growth sends us on another inner trek with those same results? There's going to be cycles of things that we're going to deal with. We emerge back into life, no longer the slave of our surroundings, but knowing we are observing the manifested effects of a deeper cause. Fighting the effect makes it bigger, so we now know to back away. We expose it, we look at it. We're going to change the way we emotionally feel about the memory that hurts us, and that's the only way to get away from it. The only way to get away from it is to change the way you feel about it. The way it is existing in us is how it's acting out. If we are truly healed and out of any bad situation, the cyclical pain will not emerge again. You have mastered a part of yourself and learned what to do to master it all if you choose to. But it will be a hard trip for personal and communal reasons. That means your surroundings again. Yeah, people might have a difficult time. If you're in a bad situation and you have to leave it, is that even possible? What if you rely on where you are to survive and you can't just leave? It's like, well, I'll bail out of here because it doesn't feel good, and then I'll be homeless, which makes it worse. There's difficulty leaving the past. It could be, I got to stop this alcohol. I quit. I damn it quit. I will never drink again, I say every morning before I grab another bottle at night and say I'll try again tomorrow. Those become things that's the strong man coming after us in other material that we know is going to return. And we know it's going to wreck our house, and we need to prepare for it. Other material. Anyway, okay, so that's the template, and I'm going to keep this right here. I won't go on with the rest of things. The Ezekiel one, yeah, I think that we can't dive into a small piece like that. It's a bigger. These steps are held in small verse or in big, huge stories. And in this case, we've got a big, huge story and a couple of verses. It's not enough resolution to see what is in that larger picture. So, and again, I glanced at it and I was like, boy, this is downstream. I can't answer this very well. I don't want to work at it right now. I think I can help in other ways, probably better. Ask me any questions. Yeah. All right. I'll set this up as I'll name it template so that you can find it again. There's the pieces. Pause it at those places right there. Expand it up. Take screenshots. It's yours. It should be published someplace. Yeah, take it. But again, it's going to be flexible, especially the second one. I think the first one is pretty solid. The second one, I think, there's parts of it in there that I'm not sure what's going on yet. Especially as we move farther along. I've got less steps than he does. The connection with the goddess is the reconnection with your inner being. Atonement with the Father at some point is reconnection with your higher self, but that happens way early on. So there's some sequential things that aren't exactly right. They're there, but they're not necessarily in the right place that I can see. Who am I? Everybody needs to see it for themselves. It's a life sequence. That's why I say I think I can see it. And I had to take it, and it worked. I got confidence in it. All right. Hope this was helpful. Take care. And Terry, I added this on for you and anybody else that made it this far. You had asked me something else about, I can't remember exactly what it is. It doesn't matter. I want to tell you how I see these stories working and how I manage them now and why I do it that way. I play it out completely inside, and I pretend when I read this that the story is made for me. If whoever are the heroes of the story, that is who it is written for. So I pretend at that moment in time when I'm reading the story as if that was written for me. It's a collection of material that fits in culture in various places with various people. It's the same template each one is getting. So read it as if you were that person. What I did, and I've got this in other videos, I've got this mental practice where I would pretend in my imagination that I'm back there in time. I'm trying to feel it, sense it. I hear, cattle maybe and voices, a few things here and there, but we're walking, feel the heat. I'm I always figured I was a little shepherd boy. I was off someplace on my own quite a bit. But as I'm doing that, I'm looking around and trying to figure out life. And it's pretty soon I begin to recognize things like, I don't have a Bible. Nobody does. I don't read. How am I getting these stories? Yeah, it's not like what we're sitting here. I have to hear somebody tell me. And if I want to know it well enough, I have to memorize it. I probably am good at that. I have to go listen to the scribes or the Pharisees, depending on where you are. You're going to find somebody that's going to teach something about the material that can read, but not that many. You're very dependent upon them. Our life is so different than today. This stuff was probably almost impossible for them to see. It's very difficult for us, and only by comparing a lot of different things am I able to see it. I would never have gotten it with 2, 3, 4, 5 even things maybe. I've looked at a lot of stuff. And then when you hook into it, you're like, okay, I got it. Okay. It is all inward, and I'm going to do an example I've got a fun exercise coming up I'm going to do a video on. Anyway, so as you're reading that, and whoever is the righteous, whoever is the good, whoever is the people that are the heroes in the story, that's you as you're going on the path. Whoever the bad, whoever the evil are, whatever is taken over and needs to be defeated, might have existed in their culture, but it represents the things that you have in your life that are there. And you know what? Even right now, I realize I'm not being very clear. The called person is who you are at that time you're ready to go, and who you're going after. And the old enemy is your old self and your old qualities and your old characteristics. So all of those parts are you. All of the certain things. The female is your inner part that's holding qualities that are doing certain things. It's just nested in a very deep way. It's a big puzzle. Make fables look like child's play. All the creatures and the people and what they do and their attitudes, but they're nested deep. It's not, you have to know what they're like. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What does it mean to go east, north, south, west? What does it mean to have 7 of this and 3 of that? And then in the next story, 3 of this and 7 of that. And the next story, 7 of that and 3 of this. And the next story, 7 of that and 3. You're like, what is going on here? There's some pattern stuff going on that eventually we just have to analyze that stuff and see what's going on. The words, I've mentioned it before in Genesis, it's kind of like this sing-song thing. That's where it still needs to continue to work there. Genesis has the creation myth. The only creation myth. There's a modified variant in John that I'm aware of in Christian material. Pieces elsewhere. Religions don't have more than one creation myth. Then it starts into the flood, which replicates other places, complete purging, and then it goes into monomyths, as well as then layering the numbers, the analogs, the analog farm that they've got going on. So you can see at some point they've got a good system and they're like, this is good, but the population's getting big. This is very functional. Let's try to, let's modify this. Let's put this in. But they're structuring it so well. They're letting us know. They're nesting it. They're hiding it, but all the clues are in place. We just have to understand what they're doing by continually looking at it until it emerges. We're as smart as them. Anyway, they had something happening and we're finding it. I'm finding it. And there's other people I can tell. I've talked with a few. We're all looking into it. We're getting farther into it. And it's pretty exciting. But anyway, when you read this story, become that person. Ezekiel, I guess it was, or something like that. You become Ezekiel. If it's a monomyth like that, you become that person. And all of those things that are happening out there in the world have to somehow represent something in you. And they could be elaborate, complex stories that represent a very small thing. That cycle of pain could be there's a storytelling culture. Let's try to carry that cycle of pain out for the next week. Boy, that would be a cycle of pain, wouldn't it? Repeat this story. Shut up and sit down. I'm not done yet. But Dad, we need some fish and loaves. Yeah, there's a cycle of pain for you. All right. Hope this was fun. Yeah, read it. A monomyth, it's you. It's you. Jason and the Argonauts, you go on the model myth, you're Jason. You are Moses. You are Noah. Noah dies off. We become Abram and Sarai. Then it goes on and on then that way. It is hard to see. We have to keep working at it. I'm growing with it and learning more as I go. And there's a point, too, where I realize all I can do is point and share. What I can do is academic. There's that first line in the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. And that is very true. And Taoists interpret that as it's mystical. It's something you can't quite understand. I don't interpret it that way. I think what that means is that this right here can't be understood truly until you make it your own. The Tao that can be told is not the real Tao, but the Tao that is experienced. It is. Right now, this is academic, but at some point in time, the knowledge of what to do, the working with the higher self, the memories, the personal experiences, the way that we feel about them, the way that we fear, all those things become at once very personal when you actually take the trip. And only then does it become real. That's when the Tao becomes real. Not when it's told, but when it's taken. All right. Take care.